On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
I'm with a client and we're talking, and I get a call from somebody I'm very heavily involved with his company right now. It's Tommy Mello. A lot of people in the home service industry, that's gonna ring a bell. He's a rock star, and he calls me, and I'm in the middle of this consultation call, this paid call with one of my clients who runs a pest and fertilizer company, and I'm like, I got to take this call, and so I'm like, what do I do? And I asked permission for the guy I'm talking to. I said, do you mind if I take this call? And he says, only if I can listen in, because he knows who Tommy is, and he's just like, I got to listen in. And so obviously I pick up, and Tommy's fine with it. And so we're talking back and forth, and he's just like, that was so valuable to hear these two giants talking about this, that, and the other. So yeah, there is something about taking away that steepness of the learning curve by surrounding yourself with other people who are successful, with other people who have been there, done that, who have, scratched their knees, stubbed their toes, like we talked about earlier. If you can surround yourselves with the right group of people, man, it just shortcuts you. I mean, it's literally a cheat code, right? You've shortcutted all the mistakes that they've made. You don't have to redo those.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got Lenny Gray on the King stage. Lenny, my brother, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Chaz, yourself?
It's a great day. It always is, though. But I got to tell the listeners, I came off of one recording and I was 9 minutes late. I am never 9 minutes late. And you guys, I'm just so excited for you to hear from this guy, because if he has patience and poise and posture like a true king to wait for me for 9 minutes, holy moly, I'm excited to see what he's going to give you. So thank you for doing that. But also, Lenny, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. No, it's all good, man. Good things come to those who wait, right? That's what my mom taught me. So that's where we're at. So we're gonna provide the audience some good things today.
We're gonna crush. I love it. Lenny, tell us what kind of business that you're in, my brother.
So I started out in the door-to-door industry years ago. I did door-to-door sales in college for a pest control company. Started my own pest control companies, wrote a couple books. So now I'm into consulting. I've got a land development company. We do vacation rentals as well. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned before we hit the record button that you've listened to a couple of episodes, and a lot of my guests, they're just like all over the place, all these different industries and all these different ages and successes and all this stuff. And it stems from me feeling like you, like, man, I'm franchising and real estate. And even in real estate, there's like 3 different versions. And then podcasting, mastermind, like people look at me probably like they look at you and go, could you just not pick one, bro? Or what happened,
Yeah.
So I feel you.
You get opportunities, right? And if the right opportunities come along, not that I've hit home runs on all those opportunities, right? You're not swinging the bat unless you swing and miss sometimes. So so it's just been interesting how things have kind of fallen into place where I'm at now, and certainly open to who knows what tomorrow brings.
Exactly. I love that. Okay. So you're in obviously lots of different industries, as you've said. My first question, always the same, is why? Like, not necessarily why those industries. Why are you still doing it? You're still after it. You're in multiple industries. You're still swinging the bat, as you just said. Why?
Yeah. So great question. Like I said, we've had a lot of successes over the years, and in acquisitions and different things. But I really feel like I'm at the point in my life where I love the opportunity to help other people to have success. I love the opportunity to help other people reach their dreams, and I feel like from starting as just, bottom of the barrel rookie door-to-door sales rep for a company, going out knocking doors, to now I can develop programs. I can teach others how to do that and how to be successful at that. It excites me right now. That's where I'm at in my life, just to teach other people and, leave it better than I found it. That's kind of a rule of thumb for me.
I love it. Now, on that note here, real quick, I want to just go practically into one little section. Your consulting that you do, is it in the door-to-door space? Is it in the pest control space? Is it in the vacation rental space? Where are you focused there?
Most of my consulting stems from my books, the Door-to-Door Millionaire series. Again, 2 books there. And most people in the home service industry, that's probably more in particular what I'm heavily involved with. And it's all home service industries, not just pest. But I've also consulted for finance companies and insurance companies. So the model of door-to-door sales, and I call it the armpit of all sales, right? It's like the worst, right? You're generating leads of people that may never have thought about the product you're pushing. So to me, I can adapt my processes, my sales processes to just about anything. It's worked in, you name it, home service industry. I've probably been there, done that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. It's, not most, but a lot of the people that I know that run successful businesses at some point either did door-to-door or cold calling, some sort of rookie position like you stated. I can remember being, 20, maybe I was 20, 21, making cold calls and just getting hung up on hundreds at a time. You're just like, okay. Or choosing to go to the next door, coming back the next day after, 50 knocks and no results, or 300 phone calls a day. There's just a baseline of perseverance, persistence, tenacity that's built in that process that then later gets used for us in business ownership.
Yeah. And it's a great thing. Like you said, it's that repetition, right? And doing things and getting rejected the same ways, and then learning how to overcome those certain rejections and just improving and getting better. And I think one thing that's been very helpful for me as I've gotten feedback from clients and other people I've worked with is the way I teach things. It's very replicable. Like, I don't want to be that 1 in a million guy that's just so dynamic and so outgoing on the doors. Like, I'm a normal guy. I just, I'm probably the most boring guy in the room. If you put me in with a group of people, I'm not that outgoing. But there's something for me when I get in a sales situation, especially on the doors, that just something clicks, and something's like, you can bring a different energy, and you can bring a certain skill set that is very teachable if you have the right teachers and the right processes.
I love that. It made me think of one thing, and I want to try to leave this open-ended to see if maybe your answer would be like mine. When you said you get into that door situation, right? It's like different energy. Would you compare that to being like on stage, or not maybe on stage, but some sort of a performance?
100%. I've said that before. Like the doorstep is my stage. And I was a broadcast guy in college. I graduated with a degree in broadcast communication. So I was going to be this TV guy anyway. So I get that when the lights are on, cameras are rolling, you kind of have to have that energy. I write about it in my book as far as being a 7, right? Yeah. Most people, they operate probably at a 3 to 5 range. But when you're in an environment and you're selling, or you're trying to sell somebody on yourself, maybe it's a job interview, or you're interviewing other people for your company, you want to see if they can bring that level of energy to about a 7. More often than not, most people, like I said, they run in that 3 to 5. Every now and again, you get a 9 or a 10, and that's just a little bit too much. You don't want to be that person, knocking doors or interacting with people either. So I found that a 7 seems to be kind of that perfect place to be, to really bring energy and good vibes with people.
Yeah, I love it. I can remember being a sales rep, and then obviously a sales manager as well, when I would jump onto a call and take over a call and try to get it done. But I would stand up, and I had my little headset on, I'd be in my desk, and I'd turn around, and, because all the other cubes were behind me, and I'd be like, not necessarily soliciting attention, but my voice projects. I'm 6'5", I'm a big guy. It just projects. And then now they can hear me. And now I'm saying fun things. Like, I'm on stage. Like, I'm an introvert, believe it or not. Yep. But you're on this stage. You're got the 7 level of energy. It's great because it's relatable. You're building rapport. You're talking about good stuff. And then now they can hear it. And so now that I know that they're watching me, it just goes to a whole nother level. Now I'm really having fun, saying fun stuff, and which just accelerates the actual relationship that you're having with the guy on the phone or at the doorstep.
Yep, absolutely.
It's all real, even though it's under the lights.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Agree with that totally. Like I said, when I'm on the door with somebody doing training, and that's the thing. Like I still knock doors. Like I'm not ashamed about that at all. Like I know it's the armpit of all sales, but I love to teach people how to do it. In fact, I'm going with a group tomorrow. I'll be down in Arizona for a couple of days, and I'll be knocking doors with this group. One of the guys in the group is my son. Actually, I've got a son old enough to go out and knock doors now, and so him and some others, and we're just going to show him, and it's going to be fun. And that's what I try to do. Again, we keep it light. Like the things that I'm out there doing in the home service industry or whatever, it's just fun. You know, it's like, it's not going to make or break somebody's life if they don't get this, that, or the other. They don't get their carpets cleaned or their garage door fixed or, pest control. So you just try to entertain people, have a good time with people, and realize, at the end of the day, you're probably not going to see them again anyway. So just have fun with it. So. Yeah,
it's so good. I used to, we'll move on from this topic, but one last little piece of that kind of fits in that having fun. I used to train new guys that would come in, they'd be in training. I'd go over and sit and, plug into their calls, and we'd be, they were already nervous. They're new. And then now their manager's sitting next to them and I'm plugged in, and I go, here on the next call, I want you to say hum babe, HUMBABE, hum babe. And they're like, what is that? It doesn't matter. I want you to say hum babe as many times as you can. He's like, what? Like, I'm struggling. Why are you telling me to do this? So, okay, when you answer the phone, hey, this is Chaz from so-and-so. I was looking for so-and-so, hum babe.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. I'm calling about this, hum babe. And this hum babe and this hum babe. And I'm like, look, here's the deal. They're either not going to hear it, and it's no big deal. Yeah. Or they are going to hear it, but they're not going to say anything. So it's no big deal. Or they are going to hear it and they are going to say something. And he's going to say something like, did you just say hum babe? And you're going to be like, dude, yes, I did.
You got me.
And now you have one of the greatest conversations that you're ever about to have.
Right.
And there's that mindset of like, I can't mess this up. Yeah. I cannot mess this up.
We used to have something similar. We used to have like a band of the day, right? Like you've got to say Bon Jovi on the doors. Like no matter what, you've got to say Metallica or Motley Crue or whoever it was, right? You got to work that into the conversation. And it's just, again, it kind of lightens the mood a little bit, and somebody's not too dialed in and nervous about, am I going to mess up? Am I going to say the wrong thing? It's like, these are just people. You just talk to them like normal people, and you'll have a good conversation. And so, yeah, those kind of things are fun. Those are the game within the game, right?
Totally. Love it. Okay. So tell us the beginning. You said you got into door-to-door sales at the beginning, but like, what was the transition? Did you ever think that you were going to be a business owner? Kind of give us the beginnings of you and business.
Yeah. So my mom actually owned a very small house cleaning business when I was younger. Okay. And so I'd do the stamps for endorse checks, and I'd go out on the weekends and, clean up these ski rentals in the winter that were just completely trashed and everything else, and just kind of help my mom with her business. So, but yeah, I served a 2-year church mission. So I knocked a lot of doors. I served in Washington, D.C. Doors just literally for 2 straight years. And upon coming home, starting school, college, I was going into my sophomore year in college. And I just had a buddy that I played high school football with, and he reached out and said, dude, you got to come and knock doors with me. You can make like 20 grand in 3 or 4 months. And I literally just told him, I said, that's fake. There's no way that's real. I just said, there's no way. I said, so I'm going to keep my, job at this warehouse, this lock and supply.
I'm going to keep my
warehouse.
dignity.
I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do the warehouse job. And I'll make my $7-8 an hour, whatever it was. And you go make your millions or thousands here and let me know. Sure enough, the fall hits, September, this guy got back and he said, listen, it's legit. I made $25K and they promoted me to a manager. Next year, I'm going to be in Birmingham, Alabama. You got to come out, and you're going to be fantastic at this. And I trusted this guy. And so it was literally a friend of mine from high school that I went, all right, man, I'll pack up everything I own in my Nissan Altima. And, I got married that previous summer. And so my wife and I drove across the country, and we set up shop in Birmingham, Alabama. And that's how I got started knocking doors.
Wow. I think that I heard several things in there that I think are funny, but also just fun to point out, is that we all have that guy, whether we've been that guy or we have that guy where we're like, I don't know. Usually for me, I've been that guy. Like I can think of a really good friend of mine. I've gotten involved with several things, and he's like, I don't know, buddy. Like, I trust you. I love you, but I don't know. And usually it works out, and he's, somewhat like, dang, I should have gotten in on that. But the second thing you said, you had gotten married. Like, bro, your wife is a trooper to go across the country and let you door knock all day. Like, talk about that from an angle of not only door knocking, but you starting the businesses. Has she been a pivotal part in that, just even from a support level? Talk about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, she's a rock star. We've been married 25, hit our 25-year anniversary just this last summer.
Congrats.
And, no kids. I mean, it was just, the cool thing about it was I sold for 3 straight summers doing my undergrad. And again, no kids. We didn't have many obligations. So it was kind of a cool experience for us just to go out to a different state, a different place. We didn't have family or, we had, these friends, a couple friends here and there, but we kind of had to rely on each other. And I think our relationship during those 3 summers really set a good foundation for us as a couple that, hey, we're on our own. We can do this. We can take care of ourselves. And, she'd go get jobs, just these little part-time jobs to keep herself busy, during those summers. But I remember it literally was probably, 5 or 6 years ago. And she's like, do you think it'd be fun to go do another summer of sales? Like if we just went somewhere and got away and went and did it. And I was like, it may be fun for you. But I don't know about for me, how fun that would be, because I just have one speed when I'm working. And it would be like, we have kids now and all these obligations. And it's like, that'd have been a nightmare. So I've kind of like squashed that a little bit, but yeah, no, those first years when it was just the 2 of us, it was huge for our relationship.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, let's go practically in the business. So you've not only you're door-to-door knocking, but you're creating this process. You've written a couple of books. You now have this consulting where you're teaching the process. In some of the earlier years, I want to know of a good decision that you made that can be practical. Obviously, you're in a different business than maybe one of the listeners here today, but man, you've made a lot of good choices. I want to know one of them.
Yeah. So I think for me, the best choice, besides just the choice to go out and try something, that was difficult, that I didn't quite believe in, but I trusted my friend. It was the decision during that, so the decisions I made during that first summer, because I was the one that, we set our goals. The company I was working for said, you got to write your goal down. You got to show your manager what your goal is. And I had this crazy goal, is like 442. 42 is my favorite number. And the kind of money I wanted to make was in the 400 range. So I was like, 442, I'm going to do that.
There you go.
And I remember turning that paper in and that manager looking at that paper and kind of nodding his head. He's like, nobody's ever done that as a first year. Like, there's no way. But, I'm glad you put that goal down. And I was like, that's all the motivation I need, right? For somebody to tell me I can't do something. And so I put down on paper, not just what I needed to do, 442 at the end of the summer, not what I needed to do every month to get that, or every week to do that, not every day to do that, every hour. I had it narrowed down. This is exactly what I need to do. I had a formula. Yeah. And what that formula had me doing was, before our daily training meeting, I was going out an hour to go talk to 5 people, because I knew I could control my work ethic, right? Just control the controllables, like we hear a lot. And that's really, to me, that's the best decision that I made that summer, is just learning how to control what I could control, and then let everything else, let the chips fall where they may. And I think I've carried that on throughout my life, is just controlling what I can do, and I can work as long and as hard as I want, right? Like I can do that. I can control that. I can't control if it rains. I can't control if I knock doors and people don't answer, or whatever, the husband or the wife aren't home. I can't control a lot of those things, but I can control just going out and walking from door to door and talking to as many people as I can, putting in those extra hours. So that's been huge for me. And I learned that my first year knocking doors, really.
Yeah. I was just thinking how obviously applicable this is to just basic business decision-making of control the controllables. What would you say to the guy listening right now who's, he's got a $400,000 business, a $700,000 business, maybe he's right at that $1 million mark, and he's got a small team, right? He's doing a lot. He's busy being busy. He's probably doing a lot of the sales himself also. What do you say to that guy about controlling the controllables, whether it's in sales, whether it's in the business? What would you say?
So one thing that is big for me is, I've always said, I'm never going to be that business owner that's not willing to do anything within my company to make it successful. And I've known a lot of business owners, I consult for some, where it's like, how do I get off the doors, or how do I quit making phone calls and doing outbound, and what do I need to do? Well, if you have your process and you train your people, that's great. But I've always told my business partners, I said, listen, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I can go knock doors, and I will do that for this company to keep it afloat and do whatever I can do. Because I mean,
Yeah.
literally when we started the company, it was me selling, one of my business partners spraying, and that was it. It was the two of us, that first year until we had to hire more technical help.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to still grind it, whatever your goals are, right? Because we got to talk about that. Like maybe your goal is a $700,000 business. That's great. If that's what your goal is, then keep on keeping on. But if you want to keep pushing those limits, don't be afraid to get out on the truck and go do some jobs. Get out on the doors or get on the phones or whatever it is to continue to generate business. Don't be that one that stands on that ivory tower and just looks at everything and makes sure you may get to that place, right? And that's the hope as a business owner, right? We can get to that place where we can work on the business, not in the business, all those things that we can make sure that we're helping our company, that it succeeds even when we're not there. But if you're still in that growth mode and you're still grinding it out, then yeah, you should be willing to do anything and everything to reach those benchmarks.
Yeah, it's so good because there's a lot of guys or gals even listening, and a lot of other places they hear hire people, build systems, which they're going to hear some of that here as well. But a lot of the 0 to $1 million is just go get some sales, bro.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain mindset, which is what you've just described, this willingness to, no matter what, get in there, get my hands dirty. And even if it's me, the owner, making the calls or knocking the doors, it doesn't really matter. There's this grit that you've got to have first. And then, of course, you then duplicate that over the course of time through mindset, through training, through hiring consultants like you. But if you don't have it first, how can we replicate something else inside of your organization?
And most people, that's as I've consulted for a lot of different companies, most owners, what I've found is they don't know how to make themselves replicable, right? They just don't know how to do it. They think they've got to do everything and they've got to pick up all the pieces and they've got to clean the bathroom because nobody can clean it like them. Well, then you're gonna plateau, right? Yeah. I've heard it on your show before, right? Everybody has 24 hours. Like we can only do so much.
Yeah.
So if you can make what you do and focus on the most important things of what you do and then train people on how to do that and have good systems and follow-ups and all those things in place, then all of a sudden you can take and you can 2 times your company, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it is, because now other people are doing things that you typically do, but they're doing it like you. They're doing it just like you did, but you have to be a good teacher. You have to be somebody that again can teach them things that they can go ahead and replicate themselves.
Yeah, I also just love your mindset around the owner being sold out to revenue generating activities because, there's a lot of introverts, a lot of extroverts. There's a lot of people who, exactly, both you and I. So it's like we have this back and forth where it's like, man, the reality of me or whoever the listener is going like, okay, I'm going to go be the best salesperson. It sometimes feels easier just to go hire somebody, which I'm not saying is the wrong move. You might need to go hire a salesperson or maybe a sales manager to hire your 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10 salespeople. But the focus or the obsession really around revenue generating activities from ownership.
Yep.
Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about, did we make money? Where did the sale come from? And that is just a certain like pulse of the business, a certain frequency. And so I think more than anything, that's what I'm hearing you deliver to the listener right now is like, bro, if you're not sales focused, like how, what are you going to do? How are you going to duplicate yourself? How can you even go hire somebody? You got to have revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's key. You got to generate. And again, and that's an important part as well. It's generating good revenue. It's generating consistent revenue. And it doesn't just have to be the owner. It shouldn't just be the owner, but it should be the owner who, if that's most entrepreneurial minded folks are more sales background, more of that growth. That's probably what a lot of your listeners are. So if you've kind of started that and, started that wheel, now we've got to teach other people how to create that same wheel. So again, you can get people coming in and again, 2 times and 3 times and 4 times and plus your business.
Exactly. All right, let's flip the script, Lenny. Tell me about a bad choice, something that you did, just didn't work out. Give it to us raw.
So I had, I've made a lot of bad choices, honestly. And one of them that comes to mind was one of the first ones is, so we built this company up. We were the largest residential pest control company in the state after about 5 years. and we had an acquirer come knock on our door. We had an acquisition. It was a 7-figure acquisition. Here I am in my 20s, and it's like, holy cow, like this. And my business partner says, dude, we need to invest our money. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So we both went to this guy and dropped, a few $100,000, I'll say. And he ends up being, running a Ponzi scheme, and the money disappeared, and it was gone. And so all of us have made bad investments more than likely, but that was a big one for me. That was an eye opener for me to go, man, just because I made a certain amount, or because I had a certain amount of success, it can be gone like that, if you're not smart with what you're doing. So as I try to do, I don't look at a lot of even bad or negative things as things to get me down or to keep me down. It's more like, what can I learn from that? And I think that's the concept of my door-to-door background, right? It's like, just because somebody told me no, that doesn't matter. I just want to learn why they told me no. So the next time somebody says exactly what they say, I'm better prepared to hopefully turn that no into a yes. And so I looked at that experience, and it was horrible. And it sucked, but at the end of the day, I'm like, that's helped me from that point on to be more careful and to invest more wisely with other people and obviously in other processes. It was one of those things. So, like I said, I was a missionary for my church. Yeah. And I remember my mission president. He's kind of like your leader of the mission, for a certain, couple 300 missionaries. And as I was leaving my mission, he interviewed me and he said, you be careful. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's my life advice to you. And of course, here I am, and this guy's saying, hey, you get a 10% return on your money every month. And I'm thinking, that sounds great. And then I go ahead and do it. And of course, when the money goes away, the first person I think about is his mission president, where it's like, I'm an idiot. Like, he told me this seemed too good to be true. I probably should have just walked the other way. So, anyway.
Which it takes us back to the conversation with your buddy originally before door knocking. That was kind of your thought then, was like, no, too good to be true. I'm going to back away.
Yep.
And so this is what business ownership does to us when we take the risk and it works. And so you let your buddy take the risk. It worked. Then he brought you in. It really worked. And then it worked again and again. And so we think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have my guard up, and we shouldn't, but we should. Like, there's this balance is what you're talking about, this good decision making. It's why we talk about it right here on the freaking show.
That's right.
Because man, we're going to make the mistakes. We are. But if I can learn from Lenny, if I can learn from all these other guests, if I can learn from people that are around me, my missionary president, I can take all these things and go, okay, how do I make this good decision? And maybe sometimes it's investing, maybe sometimes it's holding off or doing a little bit more research, whatever it is. So anything else you want to throw into that? It's just such a great topic.
Well, that's the thing, right? I always tell people this too, when they start out knocking, or when I'm consulting for business owners. It's like, listen, hey, we're going to scratch our knees. We're going to stub our toes. Let's just call that. We're going to do that. Like in the process of learning, I've got a little daughter now. We had a surprise baby. So we had this surprise baby. My youngest son was 13, and then we have this newborn right in the house. And now she's 1. And I'm reminded from her every day all the things that I learned, where she's learning how to walk and she falls a lot. And it's like, we don't tell this baby like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're falling. Like, get up and figure this out, right? It's like, no, you're like, good job. You took some great steps, and, we cheer her on. Well, that's how we should be as people, as business owners in that, right? Where it's like, hey, you made a mistake, but look where you are. Look, you made that mistake because you're here in this place and you took these right steps. Well, guess what? We stubbed our toe now. Let's just get back up and let's learn from that and move on. And so you learn these life lessons, I think, running businesses that hopefully translate into being a better husband, being a better father, being a better person in general. That's the hope, eventually. So
yeah, being a king. All right, we've talked about process. We talked about decision making. I want to know your process now. We just kind of were alluding to it a little bit, stubbing, knees and toes and stuff, but if a decision comes across your desk right now today in the business, is there certain steps that you follow or a mindset that you're in process of thinking?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm open to everything, but I'm very guarded about everything as well. So I don't mind, entertaining some different things. And again, my business partners and I, there's 3 of us, the 3 kings, maybe, I don't know.
There you go. Hey-o.
We got the 3 kings here, and we're kind of, we all have different strengths, and we kind of help each other out in different ways, whether it's operations, finance, sales, marketing, whatever it is. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think we kind of have, what I would say is an executive board where we can throw ideas out. And again, we try with all of our experience, 70 going on 70 years combined experience in, together in the same industries. And we kind of go, you know what, let's look at this and let's see what it's about. So I think surrounding yourself with the right people, with good people. Again, that business partner that I had in 2003 when we started our first pest control company, he's still my business partner today. And then we brought another one on who was one of our first door-to-door guys, that ever worked for us, beyond me. And so I've surrounded myself with people I trust and people whose opinions matter. And then we just kind of weigh it out. And we again, not that we've been 100% successful in all of our decisions, but we've got a pretty dang high success rate. And I think that's just surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah, love that. All right. In the speed round here, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that are a little different angle. But my first one is around KPIs. So what's the most important KPI in a door-to-door business? Give us that. What are we tracking here?
So it would be easy to say sales. Right. That would be the easy one to say, just how many sales are you making? But I peel back the onion layers a little bit more. It's not just sales to me, but it's a retention of new sales.
Oh, good. Okay. How do you track that?
Yeah. Because if you just have the sales numbers, that's great. But if you're not retaining them, is that a sales rep issue? Is it a service issue? Is it a customer service issue? I mean, there's a breakdown there if we're not retaining these new accounts. So I think for me, one of the biggest KPIs that I think owners should look at is the new sales, but what is the retention of those new sales? And why is it higher in some avenues and lower in the others? And figuring out really how to make sure the energy and the effort and the money that's put into getting new sales, how do we make sure that's being spent wisely?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it does cost money to pay a guy to go knock on a door.
Yeah.
Effort, energy, and money. It costs all of those things. And if you do the calculations right, it takes a whole lot less money, effort, time to just keep the guy you already got.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Even if it costs a little bit. Right? Like usually that cost is still going to be less. You still need both. That's not an excuse for the listener to stop getting new sales. You got two sales guys over here saying,
got to get the new sales. Got to get the new sales.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What book would you recommend, Lenny? You've obviously got two. So if they are interested in door-to-door, give us the names of those. And then what else would you recommend?
Yeah. So my two books, Door-to-Door Millionaire, Secrets of Making the Sale, and More, Door-to-Door Millionaire, Next Level Training. So those are my two books. I highly recommend the Audible version of those books because I narrate and
nice.
Door-to-door is kind of a different language, and even just B2B, whatever it is. Like I have a lot of companies that aren't even in door-to-door that use my books for training because it teaches you whether you're a CSR and you're doing inbound or outbound, like there's a language with it. Yeah. And so the fact that I narrate them, I think that's been the most popular by far. I mean, I got paperback, hardback, right. All the Kindles and all those things. But
if I can hear you do it, then I can hear an example.
Yeah. So I think the Audible versions have been super popular, even though I'll say recording your own book is probably as hard as writing your own book. I mean, that was a brutal thing, being in the studio and having to give that energy for 4 straight hours or, whatever thing. So, but yeah, my two books, obviously, I'm a pretty avid reader of business books. I do a lot of self-help, books and that kind of thing. So for business owners, obviously the E-Myth Revisited is a huge one. A couple that I've read recently that I really liked are The Comfort Crisis. That was a good one. Rejection Proof. That's a really good one as well. Yeah. I mean, those are just the ones that come off the top of my head right now. So
we'll drop them all in the show notes and they can get links to yours as well as to everyone else's that you've mentioned. But yeah, those are some great books. And just from the titles, I can tell the principles on the ones that I didn't even know. It's like, yep, they need that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we need that.
Good stuff.
Exactly. What is your thoughts around intentionally networking or masterminding with other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, and I feel like I've gotten the opportunity to do that, not necessarily in the group setting, right? A lot of my colleagues have done the groups. I haven't. I feel like I interact with business owners almost on a daily basis from clients of mine. So it's kind of in a roundabout way, but it's so fun to learn. In fact, I was on a call 2 days ago now, and I'm with a client and we're talking, and I get a call from somebody I'm very heavily involved with his company right now. It's Tommy Mello. A lot of people in the home service industry, that's gonna ring a bell. He's a rock star, and he calls me, and I'm in the middle of this consultation call, this paid call with one of my clients who runs a pest and fertilizer company. And I'm like, I got to take this call. And so I'm like, what do I do? And I asked permission for the guy I'm talking to. I said, do you mind if I take this call? And he says, only if I can listen in. Because he knows who Tommy is. And he's just like, I got to listen in. And so obviously I pick up and Tommy's fine with it. And so we're talking back and forth. And he's just like, that was so valuable to hear these two giants talking about this, that, and the other. So yeah, there is something about taking away that steepness of the learning curve by surrounding yourself with other people who are successful, with other people who have been there, done that, who have, scratched their knees, stubbed their toes, like we talked about earlier. If you can surround yourselves with the right group of people, man, it just shortcuts you. I mean, it's literally a cheat code, right? You've shortcutted all the mistakes that they've made. You don't have to redo those. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can pay attention, stay humble.
Yeah.
Make good decisions.
100%.
Okay. Last question, Lenny. You're not gonna get this one, even from the episodes that you've listened to. So this is a surprise.
Okay. I'm
if you could talk to the younger Lenny, if you could whisper in the younger Lenny's ear, what would you say?
I could whisper in the younger Lenny's ear. Man. Yeah, I grew up probably like a lot of your guests and listeners, man. I grew up with nothing, man. Like I said, my mom was a small business owner. My dad was a police officer, and interesting story there of how they met. He's my adopted dad. Haven't seen or talked to my biological dad probably since I was 5 or 6 years old, whatever it was. Yeah. And so to me, I would probably just tell myself, like, just believe in you. Like it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't matter what you've come from, whether you've come from the good, the bad, or the ugly, right? You just believe in yourself, and whatever that takes to get yourself to that point where it's like you have limitless capacity if you want to take it. And if you came from a family that, maybe people weren't as maybe they're lazy, maybe they just weren't go-getters. It doesn't mean you have to be like that. You just believe in yourself and get after what dreams you want to accomplish, and you can do it, man. I mean, that's probably what I just whisper in my own, because there are hard times, right? When you come into a family situations and there's just difficulties, it's like, just keep believing in you. And that's what I whisper to myself. It's a great question, by the way. And I haven't heard you ask that before. So I'm like, you scared me. Like, why in the world did you ask me this question? But that's what I'd say off the cuff. Couldn't prepare for that at all. That's from
well, and obviously an unprepared answer on that one is what's real, So we try to keep it real. But you, with that question, but obviously the whole entire show here, you've given us really so many different angles of your story specifically, but then how we, and then obviously the listener, should be thinking. Obviously sales, you talked about even process, frameworks. You talked about, spending time in certain areas like the book, or even recording the book, like those little things that you mentioned. It's like, man, those are super applicable to the thing that maybe is just hard, or the thing that we know that we need to do that, and so again, just absolutely sensational. You've already mentioned your books. How can the listener find you? Website, social, how can they connect? Maybe they want to hire you. Maybe they're interested in implementing door-to-door in their business. How can they find you?
Yeah. So best recommendation, you can go to my website, lennygray.com. And I've also I'm also on all the social, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm kind of all over the place. At D2DMillionaire.com. That's D2D Millionaire is the name of my consulting company. So Lenny at D2DMillionaire.com if you want to drop me an email. I love to talk to business owners. I love the opportunity to help them. I love to give them a chance to know, is door-to-door right for me? Because I will tell you if it's not. That's straight up. Like, I've had plenty of clients that come in and have these ideas, and I say, no, that's not going to work, and this is why. So, just to save you a little time and effort, it's fun to, and in fact, I do a 15-minute free consultation call with anybody who jumps in and wants to just chat with me for 15 minutes, and we can kind of make a decision from there and see if I can be of help. So I'm all about just helping people. That's where I'm at in life, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's what a king does, man. So you've been kingly here today. We appreciate the mindset, the energy that you brought underneath the lights or not. We know that it was real, so we just really appreciate that. Blessings on your family, your business partners, everything you put your hands to. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Chaz. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. You nuggets you were able to apply into your business right away. Apply into your business importantly, right away. I hope that you're realizing that it takes. I hope that you're realizing that it takes to be successful than just to be successful than just doing it being by yourself, carrying the weight all by yourself, carrying the weight. What I have realized not only in my own, what I have realized not only in my multiple businesses, from multiple businesses, now interviewing multiple different industries, literally now interviewing 200 or 300, literally over other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners. It's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists. Bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together one specifically kings who are grateful, We're intentionally assembling kings. We're intentionally assembling nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe. And communities. And here's what we believe. Of excellence in those areas. Excellence in those areas within us. The responsibility to govern power and legacy. So if that relates legacy, so if that resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gathering the kings.com. Take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense. Take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of. To 1,000 kings. To 1,000 kings. Talk soon.